Welcome to the Umami Podcast. Welcome to the Umami Podcast show. I don't know what we are. Who knows?
Yay! You're gonna be blessed by my food.
This is episode number 1, 2, 3.
This is my favorite number.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Tell me what is it?
I've just loved it since I was a child. I can't. And I'm gonna be 33 this year. So
Okay, hot. And what food are we enjoying?
okay, you are having a beautiful Cape Malay chicken curry. My recipe. My recipe perfected over many years.
Wow.
Lots of love has gone into it. And then some flaky rotis. Shout out Khawas.
Yummy. Audio.
I've got my lipstick on my hand.
Okay.
Shout out Khawas.
Good. Lekker.
The best pre-made rotis, but then you fry it up.
Totally.
Sambal, so salsa,
Wowza.
so chopped up onions, cucumber, tomato, some coriander, some chili flakes, salt, pepper, all swimming in some white vinegar.
Swimming.
Wow.
In.
Yes, and then
Bathing.
I'm here for that.
I couldn't find the glass bottles, but bashes, so I identify as colored. And in colored culture in our community, the bashes used to be in glass bottles. And vendors used to pile all these bottles with all the different flavors on the back of a bakkie. It would be loaded down and then drive in our neighborhoods and call out for either people to bring their empty crates with empty bottles and exchange, or if we want to buy or whatever. We'd also keep the dopichis, the lids separately and stuff. So at any 21st birthday, 50th anniversary moment in Thami, we would have bashes. That was the fancy drink. Many people couldn't afford appetizer. Also, we support Palestine.
Boycott.
So
Lekker, free
boycott
Palestine.
appetizer. But bashes was that status thing. I thought of bringing jive, but jive is more for a diet. It's more for a Chupra or a Gatsby or something.
Okay, so this
Not
is like
as
a
elevated.
This is like
Yes.
we're at the dinner table. We were trying to be like, yeah,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
Gorge.
Okay. Who did you learn from someone in your home cooking, or who cooked in your home? Was it your mom?
My mom cooked. My dad he famously would make a fabulous soup.
Okay.
And Mr. Man doesn't know how to ever make that soup again. So you must get it while the getting's good.
Okay.
But my mom would get us involved with preparing, like
Okay.
grating the carrots or peeling or those type of things.
Yeah.
And then eventually we'd start, she's like, just watch the onions for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kind of just learn by being in the kitchen,
Did you enjoy that as a
I
child?
loved it.
Okay.
I love cooking.
Really?
People are always surprised that I love cooking, and I think I'm a very good cook as well. And I love watching food shows on Netflix. It's like one of my favorite things. You pick up so many tips and stuff.
What's
how
your
to flavor
favorite?
things. Oh my god, so many.
Yeah.
But I love Chef's Table.
Oh my god.
Same.
I love
Oh my
Chef's
gosh.
Table. I even rewatched some of the episodes.
Yeah.
Gorge.
Another one that I really love was Salt, Acid, Fat, Heat.
Okay,
Right?
I haven't watched that one.
Oh, and I forgot to mention I add yogurt in here. That's my fat that I add other than my cooking oil.
Okay.
I add double cream yogurt.
Okay,
yeah,
it's not a
do the same.
specific double cream.
Yogurt. I used to do cream.
And why did you change?
The yogurt has like a sour vibe to
Yeah,
it,
yeah,
so
yeah.
it really just helps to round everything out.
Yeah.
Whereas the cream is too similar to like an oil or a butter.
Okay.
And also add a few dollops of butter as well.
I bet the yogurt, I don't know if it does this in the cooking process, but I bet the yogurt also softens the
100%.
meat a little.
100%.
Tenderizes.
So
Okay.
you said your dad makes like a good soup, but is he usually in the kitchen, or is it mostly like
Mostly my mom.
your mom?
And then
do
I
you
also
have siblings?
I have one younger sister.
One younger sister. So I assume you guys will both be in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Oh,
We'd be
okay.
doing things.
Yeah.
I don't know, something. But I also watch my granny's cooking right now.
Mm-hmm.
So after school, I used to go to my one Ma Susie, and she had this gift. I don't know what it is about colored grannies. She firstly had a big ass family. She had 10 kids. Let's start there.
Wow.
Okay, that's deep.
And then a lot of grandkids came out of the
Yeah.
10 kids, right? She would somehow take something and multiply it. So I literally would see her clean a fish, like baste the, like the egg and the cheese, the flour, and
Everything,
whatever.
yeah.
Fry the fish, pampoen cookies, geel rice with raisins,
Oh, yes,
yellow
I-
rice with
yeah, yeah.
raisins, sweet and nice. Just everything, breadies, tomato bready, with like a stew vibe,
Yeah.
brown food, pies, all kinds of stuff. My mom also made amazing pies.
Oh, you would make pies at home, like from
Yeah, my
scratch?
mom made pies from scratch. Like people would ask her to cater for like events,
Yeah.
Wow.
pies and stuff. And her malva pudding is also great. And then my other grandmother, my father's mother, she growing up the house that I remember a lot was in Kel's room. She had chickens at the back. So I would literally watch her catch a chicken,
Deep stuff.
Slaughter.
Wow.
slaughter it.
Yeah.
So I know how to like clean a chicken and
get
everything.
the feathers off and stuff.
Girl, I will never forget that smell.
Yo.
I know what that smells like.
Wow.
In the hot water. She
Yeah,
had a
yeah,
chick,
yeah,
she'd
I
pop
know,
it in the
yeah.
hot water and stuff. And that chicken was the best.
There's something in there about all these women who you've learned from and their way
wisdom.
of cooking. And it's also not just like, it's not just that they were good cooks, but that they were
They were doing something.
abundant feeders of like their of like extensive or expansive family.
I think they showed their love and generosity through their cooking and how they cooked for us and how mindful they were selecting everything. They both also had like versions of food gardens or like would get eggs from the neighbor across the road because he has chickens or whatever. And I also like read in like the recent years in my journey of remembering who I am in terms of my indigenous identity.
Yeah.
That's also a very indigenous way of knowing and being
Yeah.
is understanding food and food justice
Yeah.
and goodness in food
Yeah.
and how to feed your family and feed them well. And everyone had enough. Like I said, my one granny used to dish for everyone because she's like, everyone needs to get a piece. But you know these boys now? They will play outside whole day, then they come in famished. Now they want 2 stickies on the boat, on the leg, the chicken leg. And Granny's like, no. Oma would make sure that everyone gets.
Wow.
Which I think is so important and so just also.
Yeah.
Because also like we have to understand like patriarchy is
For
like
sure. I was going to ask you.
deep in our society. She would make sure that the kids are sorted first.
Yeah.
That's
Really?
so yeah,
Sure.
that's definitely hectic because if I think of when I was young, like it was the opposite, you know. I think I mentioned before because what they would do, they'd serve the men first, and then we'd end up like, if we don't get the source of the meat of the day, we'd end up eating ipapa with like amasi, etc. Like that was the alternative. That was the kids' meal.
Yeah.
So that's like a very different,
Wow.
experience
Yeah.
with food that you had there, where they were like, okay, she's intentionally serving everybody. Everybody eats of the pot.
Of the goodness, yeah.
Yeah.
The church that I grew up in, I was also traumatized by that.
You give me a look there. Yeah.
And I was a pastor's kid.
PK.
I still, yeah. The kids would get the scraplings at the bottom. Last, the older
The
people
scoffers.
forgot they ate already. That's like we put in, they already having dessert. We are still waiting there. Droogmond, droogbek. Keel, seer. The throat is sore. And the kids are waiting. And kids are not adults. Adults can control themselves.
Yeah.
Like, how can you think a child must just sit? So I love how subversive my granny was.
Yeah.
But making sure that she's like, no, she was like a mother hen.
Wow.
My grandkids are going to be fed. And they're going to get what the adults are also going to eat.
That's
So
really
we got
cool.
our beetroot. The beetroot. But anyway, we got our beetroot and our fricadelle and our this and our that. And you go, you wash your hands, you say a prayer, and you eat your food and you enjoy, and you can wash the dishes afterwards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's really cool.
That's beautiful.
I just wanted to ask, just going back to something you mentioned, you said how you define your indigenous identity. And I wonder, like, if you can say more about that. I know it might take you away from food, but I was also just thinking when you mentioned your grandmother, I think, having chickens in the back and just slaughtering. That's also something that I remember because we do that back at home. And I don't know if I can situate that as an indigenous practice necessarily, because it's not necessarily Western. It's like foreign to like Western notions, like rear chickens and have them slaughtered at home and clean them and then have them, and then you can use all the parts and stuff like that. So I wonder how you, I guess, define or situate yourself within like an indigenous identity. Yeah.
So a lot of it has come in recent years of remembering myself.
Beautiful.
And that remembering is like twofold. So remembering, but also because colonialism and apartheid has dismembered, like literally dismembered parts of our being.
100%.
Remembering, like putting myself
Yeah,
back together through self-determination, right? Not someone else telling me this is who you are, this is how you should be, this is why you do things, but for myself going back. And my grannies played a big role. They speak to me all the time. Like my ancestors speak to me, and those two speak to me a lot. And they've taught me things that I wasn't willing to hear when they were in this realm, but they have been gracious enough to still pass on messages to me.
Yeah.
Deep.
Which is so special, you know. I don't want to cry, I'm not going to cry. But my grandmothers, once I started thinking back how they did things, a lot of them, they also use Bossi's medicine, herbal medicines.
Yes.
So they would have villa owls, which is wild wormwood in the garden, cancer bush, all these things. And those were the first things that they went to if we had an earache or if we were sick or whatever. But I didn't realize what it was. I was like, oh, it's my granny being my granny. You know? I didn't realize it's actually like deeply
wisdom.
indigenous.
Yeah.
It's a wisdom.
Yeah.
It's a way of knowing and being.
Yeah.
And they may not have even said this is our indigenous identity.
Yeah.
Because they may not have
'cause
even identified in that
We
way.
needed to name it that way.
Right?
Yeah.
But in recent years, my 20s and now in my 30s, tasting Villa Owls, which is bitter as is bitter.
Yeah.
Cancer bush, everything. It like I remembered. So that's one of the rememberings that I do.
Beautiful.
And
Yeah.
literally
Beautiful.
it took me back, and I'm like, oh my god, this is
Wow.
actually so profound.
Wow.
The taste takes you.
Because I also believe, they never said this, but I believe that they also approach food as a medicine, as a way of goodness.
100%.
And so a lot of the things were tied in, like the teas that they would drink, the things that they would make for us, you know. If you're feeling sick, they'd add extra garlic and ginger to soups and, you know, all these little things. I don't know if that answers your question.
No, it
But
does, yeah.
for myself, I recognize that in my being, I span at least 3 continents. So the African continent, Southeast Asia, so Asia, and Europe. Because we can't run away from the fact that people came, colonized, there was relations happening, there was subjugation happening, there were things happening. But I'm still tied to this land as a San and or Khoi person because I still want to do that ancestry moment. And also for the viewers out there, Khoi San is not a term, it's actually highly racist because it's bringing 2 groups together, 2 very separate groups. It's Khoi people and it's San people. Khoi people were typically along the coast, had very different ways of, like they would fish more, like just different things. There's some overlaps and the languages are similar, and San people were often more into the desert areas. So I just want to put that out there. It's something that I spoke about in my master's. It's something that I'm doing in my PhD as well. But that is part of my identity. And for a long time in life, you don't want to be tied to that because of the slurs and the bigotry and the like horrible like racial slurs and stuff. Like you have big bums and I know I have a great ass. Like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like you like this. It's the disarming the shame. And the claiming it.
Beautiful.
And I'm like, how dare I be ashamed of what the ancestors have passed on to me? It's so special.
Yeah.
Who I am is special and who I am is enough. And so there are sides to me that I need to discover that the white man and the system has tried to tell me you're not good enough, you're not this, you're not that.
Sure.
So it's very liberating to be on that journey as well, you know.
Wow.
I was gonna ask about that because obviously you like invited us into that story. But how did you? It sounds like you've done so much work, like with reclaiming and kind of finding yourself within all of these things. So, like, how did that begin? Like, where did that? What sparked this journey that like has revealed so much of the beauty of what it means to be you?
I'll have to think on it for just a few more seconds. I think a lot of it, the catalyst was studies and just reading, because I'm an avid reader. I love reading.
Academic powerhouse.
Yeah.
Academic baddie.
As you can hear.
But also in such a, can I just say, having just finished from that or left that space, and it was a gift, but it's also like you do it in such a, I don't know, an inviting way. I would say the way you speak about those really, I don't know, academia can really make it, can be a dead.
Yeah.
It can.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see what you mean.
Yeah, because I think they make it too cerebral. I think it needs to be more embodied.
Embodied.
Yeah, it has to be more embodied. So really it was studies, and you know these things.
Yeah.
And then you think back to what you were taught in grade 4 history or whatever, and I'm like, why are they speaking of my people as they're extinct, but we're still here? But a big moment for me was a book that my PhD supervisor wrote called OC Told Me. And I just want to touch on this term OC. So OC, people think it's just OC like older sister, but OC spelled AUSI, OC or OCD, which is the plural form. She is the knowledge holder. It's that matriarch. It's the one who knows. Like I realized my grannies were OCs. They know how to birth a child. They know how to read the stars. They know how to feed their families. They know how to heal their families. They know how to care for their families. They understand concepts beyond the physical. They understand the metaphysical.
Right? It's not just
it's a deep knowing.
It's embodied. They know how to.
It's a knowing. So they don't even name it, but it's there. It's like right there.
Yeah.
And June Bam, shout out June. June wrote this incredible book. I highly recommend it. OC Told Me in 2021. And it's so beautiful. And she takes us through this journey of how specifically colored people have been assimilated into an identity. But I also recognize that there's a reclamation that has also happened in our communities. Like people's like, this is who you are. We're like, okay, this is who we are. We're going to be this on our terms.
Yeah.
But there have been silences in terms of our indigenous identity. Like massive silences in academia, in the general
100%.
discourse, politically, just a lot of silences. And we always hold this like in-between space, you know? But she takes us through the different epistemicides that have happened, the different sides, so linguicide, language stripped out of our mouths, our front teeth being knocked out so we can't pronounce our clicks.
Yes.
All of those like very violent things that colonizers and apartheid government and all of these have done. She takes us through all of this in the book, but she centers the woman as the knowledge holder, and she actually spoke to countless old people. And her own experience growing up was in Rondaflei. The apartheid government removed them in the 70s, and now it's a nature reserve. Caleb, you must know where Rondaflei is, no?
Yeah.
Jou kante daar, ja. So, but she lived where the nature reserve is. Their house was there, and she talks of how her mom was an OC, would show them how to read the morning star, the evening star, how to gather wood, what is used for this and that, and all stop bossy and tea and all die goedjies. But she didn't realize that it's indigenous until she was older. You know, you kind of have to go on your own journey. So she really has gone on a journey, and I have to give her all the credit for like really awakening me to a lot of stuff. Naming things as they are.
Wow.
I mean, even this is one fun fact. You know kham?
Yeah.
Do you know the term kham?
No, I don't.
Guys, kham is like... Help a man's eight, Caleb.
You just know.
It's what people call certain colored people who, but it's not a positive thing necessarily. It's like, oh, you so kham, you so like there, you so low class, you so black, you have no class, whatever. Kham is actually derived from kham, where the kham sign were in the Western Cape. Kham means lion. So they were known as people of the lion.
Sure.
So imagine how the white man will take that story and now say, oh, those kham people, they mispronounce it, and now it's become a pejorative thing. It's become a negative thing. So I'm like, yeah, call yourself kham.
Wild.
If you actually know where it comes from, like she did that deep diving, like deep diving, specifically in the Western Cape of just how much we know. And to bring it back to the food at my granny's, I could recognize them as OCs as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I know I'm an ancestor in the making. We all are. So I hope to be the best, because I also believe a lot of teachings in Native American and Indigenous American cultures is you are connected to your past, present, and future. So you're connected to your ancestors. You in your present, you need to be embodied in yourself now, but you're also connected to your future.
Yeah.
And so that whole concept of the 7 generations, what we do now will affect 7 generations. So be smart about how you live off the land, live with the land. You know, another concept that really touched me is like thinking of not just us human beings as the only ones who coexist, but relatives with nature. Relatives with water. If you think of someone as a relative,
Braiding sweetgrass.
right?
Yeah.
But also, like a lot of the people that I've worked with in Canada, they speak of relatives.
Beautiful.
Yo.
That's
Wow.
wild.
Being in kinship with someone other than yourself, with something other than yourself. So won't there be more care? Because if someone's your kin, it's
100%.
like it's close, you know.
Yeah. Because now you're thinking about the relationship between things, right? Like now you think about the meat that we've just had. Now you hold it in a different way, right? The way that it's treated, the way you cook it. Because now you care about all of those
100%.
connected things.
And that's why it was so important to me that we got good meat as well, you know. Then the hoenders, that's why they're so lekker. They were running, they were petsy. They were living their best lives. And it's important.
Yeah.
So I know you can't get it right with everything, but you can try.
Yeah. Wow.
Yo, what a frame. Eshcha,
Gorge.
thank you for this abundance.
It's been so precious having you here. Wow.
Have
So many things to mull over.
I'll make my
I'm
slow roast leg of
chewing, I'm
lamb.
digesting.
Yeah.
But also, I mean, I actually, for the first time I went to church today with Caleb.
Oh,
He dragged me,
shout out.
but I
church.
feel like I was there again. I received so much.
It was so special.
Yeah, this is a lot.
The energy was really special.
Like, subscribe, follow, comment,
Comment, repost.
tell your friends.
Yo, this was so nice.
Yo, this was so good.
Everything about this, not only the food. What? Sissy, you've got so much wisdom.